I know a lot of you guys, like me, start a bullet journal every year, and some of y'all, this is your first year ever starting a journal. So if that is you, welcome. I'm glad you're here because today we're going to be talking about 15 plus creative spread ideas that you can put in your own journal. This isn't like calendar spread or like goal planning spread. That's the boring stuff that we all know can go into a planner or a bullet journal. But today I want to talk about just some fun ideas that you may have heard of, may not, and give you some visual inspiration. I hope that this video will be really helpful. So I have a list on my computer of at least 15 ideas that we're going to talk about today, and let's just go down the list. So number one is a bingo spread. Now this is really fun. I remember in February of one year I did a bingo spread where I wanted to accomplish just some really fun things to do during that month. Now I think for me I did just like small bucket list items that I wanted to do from what I remember off the top of my head, but you could also do like small goals you wanted to do. Maybe it's like a challenge with your friends that you guys want to do a couple things during the span of a month, a year, etc. You can have a lot of fun with it. We all know how bingo works, but it could also be like you want to try to black out the board, not just get a couple in a row, you know, it could be fun. So there's an idea for you. Another idea is a habit tracker. Now this one is a lot more well-known, more obvious. I feel like a lot of people put trackers in their journals, but I'm mostly putting this on the list to show you guys different ways that you can lay out your trackers. I like to do some, or I actually most often do them in one spread in like multiple columns, but I've also done habit trackers where they like are in a line at the top. You can also change the shape of your habit tracker. So I like to usually do them in a calendar shape. That way I can check off one box for every day of that month. But you can also do it in more like elongated strips or in a chart, or you could do it in just a regular rectangle. Like if there are 30 days in a month, then you can do 3 rows of 10 boxes. I've also seen it done like in a yearly format. So if you have like habit tracking for a year, which is crazy. I've never tried it myself, but some people do it. So that could be a really fun idea for your own bullet journal. And of course, this could be any habit that you want to track, whether it's like drinking more water or reading the Bible or exercising, or maybe it's a more fun habit like crocheting or something like that. You know, it could be whatever habit you want to get into. You can customize it completely. Next idea could be a playlist spread. Again, it's something I used to do a lot more in my older bullet journals. There are loud cars outside that I wish would shut up. Anyway, playlist spreads. So this is like a fun way for me to remember what I was listening to at a certain period in my life. So I can make a spread talking about all the songs I'm into at one point, and then when I flip back through my old bullet journals, I'm like, oh yeah, I was really into like BTS at this point in my life, or Harry's House just came out and I was really listening to Harry's House at this point. I like doing playlist spreads, but I haven't done one in a hot second. I need to come back and do one of these pretty soon because I've had a lot more new artists that I've been listening to recently that I probably should document in my bullet journal. The next idea is a reading journal spread. Now some people do like completely different journals for their reading, like a complete reading journal that's separate from their everyday bullet journal. This could be you. Personally, for me, I don't have time to keep up with that, so I usually just do a couple spreads about reading in my actual bullet journal. I will do usually like quarterly wrap-ups, and I make videos about it too, so this is one that I really do a lot more recently. And then at the end of the year, I usually do a full year wrap-up spread, so I just posted that video a couple weeks ago if you want to go check that out. I think it was 2 weeks ago actually. But also there is a lot of inspiration about this on Pinterest, on Instagram, on YouTube, of other people in their way that they do their reading journal setups. I've done a couple like mock ones that I can also show here on the screen with like full setups of like writing your TBRs or your want to read list or your goals with reading. That way it's more like planning in advance for reading rather than like wrapping up what you did read. If you're a reader, you know, there's so many ideas out there, so this could be a really good one for you. And this can also be applied to other things like movies or video games or something like that if you want to change that up. I also have Bible study on here. So I did a spread at the beginning of my second bullet journal last year, I think it was. It wasn't a very successful spread, but I had a list of different chapters in the Bible in order, starting in Genesis, and I was going to try to read a little bit every single day. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did not keep up with this spread at all. So I don't think this is the most effective spread ever, but it's just an idea. You can definitely customize or change the spread and organize however you want it to do a kind of Bible study or religious study. I've also done a couple spreads before where it's like verses all over. So I think I did one in February of a couple years ago where I like had just random verses calligraphied like all over the spread, and that was really fun to do. So just ideas so you can incorporate, you know, spiritual stuff into your bullet journal as well if you are religious. Another thing that I like to do is a letter to a future self. This is something I always do or try to do at the beginning of the year, and then I can look back at that letter at the end of the year, you know. But it doesn't even have to be like January to December. It could be like whenever you want to write a letter to your future self, in 5 years time, in a decade's time, in next week's time. Like it doesn't really matter. This is just a fun way to just document your feelings at a certain point, what you want to achieve, what you want to avoid in a certain period of your life. And again, it's always fun to look back on because you can see how much you've grown and changed in the period that you've waited since you first wrote the letter. Also means that you won't like lose it somewhere in like a drawer on your desk. So I recommend putting it in your journal as well. Next, I have health trackers. Now, this is kind of similar to a habit tracker, but I have a lot longer of a list of things you can do. So I like to do health trackers sometimes that are very specific to like symptoms, if I'm like things that I want to track with my own health. But you could also interpret this as sleep trackers where you track the length, quality, or quantity of your sleep. You could do like mood trackers. You know, people do this a lot actually, and there are many other artistic ways to do mood trackers. Like you can do it in a circle where you like color in the color of your mood. You can do it in like a bar graph. One month in July, I like drew poppies and then I colored in the poppies based on the color of the mood that represented my day, that kind of thing. Another idea could be like an exercise tracker if you wanted to get back into that. Then you can make an entire different spread for it rather than just putting it in your habit tracker. The last thing I have on here listed is a period tracker, which I do make every year as well. This is more just to track whenever I'm on my period or when I'm ovulating, things like that. But if you wanted to go much more in depth, you can also, again, edit the spread however you want to list all the different like specifics that you need to track in your journal. Next, I have a scrapbook spread. Now this one is super fun because it basically has no purpose and can be used for anything. So if you just want to like be creative, pull out your ephemera, your stationery, your washi tape, your stickers, maybe print a couple pictures off the internet and just like scrapbook in your spread. This can be such a fun way just to relax and have a chill journal section. I've done this before for different things. Like I've done K-pop spreads in my bullet journal a lot actually, especially whenever I was younger. I've also done this for like a season, like an autumnal scrapbooking spread with no purpose, no like planning element in the spread. It's just a collage of like pictures and washi tape that's just fun to make. One of my favorite movies ever are the How to Train Your Dragon series. It's like my favorite animated movies of all time. Those I made a scrapbooking spread for at one point. So there's a lot of different options that you can do. There's no stress. It's just fun, just vibes. Kanban board. This is one that I really have not used ever. I think I put it in my bullet journal once and then never used it. So it's not one that really works for me, but it could work for you. A Kanban board is basically like you lay out on a spread like different steps of a project as you're working towards something. And then you can put like sticky notes of every specific project and move them down the steps as you finish and complete them. I've seen people use this for like content creation. So for me, making videos, I have to plan the video, film it like I'm doing now, edit the rough cut, go back into the final edits, you know, upload it, make the thumbnail, post, and promote it. So those are like 8 different steps, say that like go towards making a YouTube video. For every video, I could just have a little sticky note and move it along that Kanban board and then discard it whenever it's done and continue with all the different things. You could also interpret this for school assignments, work projects, things like that, maybe personal goals or projects that you have with your own life. Okay, quote pages. So these are super fun. I like to do quote pages every now and then in my journal. It's again, not much of a purpose, but it's more like a reminder spread that you can always come back to. And I also like to decorate it sometimes with the art that matches that monthly theme. So I did one this month for my January spread. I have like a snake with a quote around it. And I've done many more creative ones in the past where I like use different fonts and I was really in depth with like the placing of the different words and stuff. And again, if you want to put a quote that really means something to you, that's a good reminder for that month. This could also be replaced with maybe something a family member or a loved one said to you. Maybe it could be replaced with a verse, a Bible verse, once again, maybe a line from a book or a movie or something like that. Kind of like how you write things on your mirror, but imagine the mirror is your journal. That made no sense, but you get what I'm saying, okay? Academic planning. So for my girlies who are in school or in college like me, I do academic planning a lot. Now I've made multiple videos of like student bullet journal spreads on my channel that you can go back and watch if you were interested in that, where I do like full setups including like academic schedule and syllabus outlines and things like that. But personally for me, what I need for my academic planning isn't like what my daily schedule is going to look like, because that I can pretty much remember in my head. It's more like my assignment tracking. So every month I've been doing this while I'm in college. I make a big chart. It's pretty ugly, but it's just a huge chart every single month in my bullet journal, and then I can divide it by weeks and then I can cut it up by class. So I'll have like 3rd week in October, film class, whatever that box is, and then I'll put all my assignments or exams or projects or quizzes in that box, and then I know that week what I need to focus on in every single class and check off them as I go along. I often also like to put little miniature versions in my weekly spreads. So if that 3rd week comes along and all the list of assignments I have on my big tracker, I just move that list or I copy it into my weekly spread as well, so I can look at things on a smaller scale. Brain dump spread. This is like the opposite of making a spread because it's basically just leaving a spread blank on purpose. Sometimes I like to add like a little title or like a box around it, but essentially you're leaving space for future brain dumping. Like if you have a random thought that pops in your head or a random to-do list or a grocery list or just something that you need to jot down but you need space to do so, leaving a spread blank on purpose where you can do this in the future is great, because that way you don't have to stress about, oh my god, where's the sticky note I need need a pen, just put it in your journal. You know, it's right there. There's space for it. I do this a lot when I have, for example, December, where I'm planning like Christmas gifts or trying to organize get-togethers. If I have like a birthday party or months I know I'm going to be super busy for my shop planning, because I have an online shop, I like to do a brain dump spread for that to have room to jot things down if I need to. Just leave it blank. Give your future self some place to put something. Then I have a want to do spread. This one I see a lot in like opening bullet journal setups. I did this in my first bullet journal ever, where I basically just add space where you can list like shows or movies or video games or podcasts or like musical artists, books, maybe just like hobbies or activities that you want to do in a certain period of time. So that's why I see it a lot in like a beginning bullet journal setup, because it's like throughout that upcoming year, I want to get to these movies, or I want to try this new video game, or maybe it's like a recipe you want to try, or you want to go to this putt-putt place. You want to remind yourself of that later. This is a great place to just jot down all your ideas, and that way when you're looking for something entertaining to do at X point in the future, bucket list spread kind of, that's just like compartmentalized, you know, and you can of course, once again, edit it however you want. This is like the theme of the video. It's like these are just ideas that you can always edit and change. Another idea I have kind of bouncing off of that is a recipe page. So similar to how I said, if you have a list of recipes you want to try, you could also like write the actual recipe, like the list of ingredients and the steps, and maybe add a little photo or something of the finished product in your journal. Now, as someone who lives in a dorm, I don't have the luxury of cooking at the minute, so I don't really do this very often, but if you are like a mother or you live in an apartment and you want to try some new recipes, or you have a recipe that you love and you want to be able to like keep it in your time capsule, that way you can remember it in the future, writing down a recipe would be like super cool and just so cute. Like imagine like your granddaughter in decades in the future finds your bullet journal in like a closet somewhere, flips through it and finds grandma's favorite cake recipe and makes it years later. Like that would be iconic, you know? And you just have to do the step of writing it down now, and then you can make your future granddaughter's life amazing in the future. The last thing I have listed here that I think I've done before is a routine or schedule spread. So again, these don't really work as well for me because I tend to have a very flexible schedule. It's usually like go to class and then spend the time out of class doing whatever I need to do, whether it's like homework, editing, grocery shopping, going to club meetings, things like that. So it's very like all over the place. But if you have a more structured lifestyle, a routine or schedule spread could be great to just like help you organize your lifestyle. I heard that time blocking is also really good, like people who break down their schedule into literally like every hour. What are you doing every single hour? Now this could be like more of a reference spread that you make, like your ideal schedule, or it could be like you're making a weekly spread and you have to plan everything out every single day to make sure everything gets done. Whatever this translates into for you could be great for helping just organize your day-to-day lifestyle. Now I do have a list of bonus ones here that I've never made myself, so I can't really like show you them, but I can find like pictures probably online. So this is just like rapid fire honorable mentions. You can make a meal planning spread for like the overview of a week, especially if you have a family you're cooking for. You could do a monthly recap, like your favorites from the month or your reading wrap up from the month, things like that. Travel recaps, if you just went on a trip and you want to like scrapbook about it or write about, you know, your experience, that could be super fun. Budgeting, if you're again trying to plan for expenses, things like that. Making a very detailed, in-depth budgeting spread could be very helpful. Birthday spread, you could write about your thoughts starting that new age. You could scrapbook if you had like a fun party or you met with your friends and family. And then the last idea I have on here are Christmas or birthday gift lists. So this could be what you want for Christmas or your birthday. This could be what you want to give other people if you have ideas for them, especially in the future. Like sometimes an idea for someone's birthday or Christmas will pop up in my head like months in advance. And so I do have like a notes page on my phone that I usually like to write ideas in, but I think it would be better to put it in a bullet journal. So those are all of my spread ideas that I have for you. If you would like a part 2, comment below and let me know. I can probably come up with a couple more ideas for you guys. And as always, if you're new here, if you're starting a new bullet journal, I'm so glad you're here. Do subscribe. I post bujo videos every single Saturday. And if you are new to starting a journal, I recommend this video over here. This was the ultimate guide to bullet journaling that I made like a year and a half ago, and I'm really proud of this video. So if you want to know more about just how to start bullet journaling in general, click this one right over here and I will see you in that one. Okay? Have an amazing week. Goodbye.